What is going on, guys? How is everybody doing? Welcome in to Rover Sports, the show, and we are here live today, and we are discussing training camp in the NFL. That is what we are doing. We are discussing our OTA periods. It's actually kind of the opposite of the training camp season. It's kind of the opposite, but I am excited to dive into this and to talk with y'all about all of the action that has been transpiring. So let's start off with this. Sam Darnold is having a terrific OTA period. If you read the Athletic report, the Athletic basically stated that Sam Darnold's been in control of the offense, that there's even been trick plays, that Robbie Anderson is on a tear, that it's a competitive practice between Sam Darnold and between the New York Jets. And when you look at Sam Darnold and what Adam Gase is going to be doing for Sam Darnold, apparently right now it is better. Now, with that being said, Jeremy Bates was so terrible, and that was illustrated in this piece that was written by Connor Hughes of The Athletic. Jeremy Bates was so terrible that anything kind of different from the norm of Jeremy Bates is going to look like an upgrade to Sam Darnold and to the New York Jets. But Sam Darnold has been decisive, and he's been throwing it very well. Now, I have said this about Sam Darnold, and I'm going to stick with what I said about Sam Darnold. And that is, I look at Sam, and I still believe that Sam Darnold, I still believe that he's not going to be that good at the NFL level. And I believe that for several reasons. I'm going to point out this case. And, of course, it's going to be boo-hooed by a lot of people. But the reason why I think Sam Darnold is not going to be very good at the NFL level is several reasons. One, his arm strength is not very good. He does not have good, high-quality arm talent that you need at the next level. He does not have that ability to make big-time throws with his arm. So I think that Sam Darnold is limited from an arm strength standpoint, and that is going to cause some headache for some defenders or for his own team. I think that Sam Darnold is not going to be that great. You know, when we look at the arm talent of Darnold, I don't think that the arm talent is really there. And, you know, when I look at Sam, he's a nice kid and everything, but is Sam Darnold going to be able to lead? Are you going to look at Sam Darnold, and is he going to be able to galvanize a locker room and really lead? He's a very quiet personality. He's going to have to lead kind of like an Eli Manning, and unlike Eli Manning, he does not have Tom Coughlin. He does not have an established coach. He has a coach that won one game in Miami. Sam Darnold, it makes it sound like I'm a hater of Darnold, but frankly, Darnold is overrated by, frankly, every major media group. They think that he's a lot better than Baker Mayfield. They think that he's going to be a superstar player, that he's going to make multiple Pro Bowls, that he'll at least be Phillip Rivers. I think Phillip Rivers is his best overall potential, but I don't think that he's going to reach that. And if I had to guess about Samuel Darnold, he was okay last year, but again, he just did okay versus the Houston Texans if we're looking really at what Sam did last year. And again, Jeremy Bates was there last year, so people are always going to have a built-in excuse for Darnold. But he did have a good game against Houston, but so did Nick Foles. And Nick Foles, if you had to look at who you would start a franchise with, Darnold or Foles, the mainstream media and people would say Sam Darnold instead of Nick Foles. I think Foles has a higher upside, a better arm, and everything than Sam Darnold. I'm going to say that again, okay? So, as we look at this entire process of evaluating the quarterback, Sam Darnold has okay arm strength. his leadership skills, he throws late game interceptions. He was clutch in the Rose Bowl, but he throws a ton of interceptions. He has small hands, which leads to a lot of fumbling of the football. Drew Lock has small hands too, but Drew Lock is able to make really big-time throws. And then you look at the receivers that Darnold's going to have. He has Le'Veon Bell. Already you have drama. Greg Williams, drama. No GM in place, a lot of drama. But frankly, this has been a really good mini-camp for Sam Darnold, and he's been very, very efficient. Is Sam Darnold going to be an extremely efficient quarterback at this level? Is he going to be a Jimmy Garoppolo? We will see. I view Jimmy Garoppolo as really a quarterback that is a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. I expect Jimmy Garoppolo this year to lead the 49ers to the best record in the whole damn league. Jimmy Garoppolo, 49ers 13-3. That's what I've been saying about the 49ers. They're going to win the NFC, and he'll probably win the MVP. If you win your conference, you basically win the MVP. I mean, look, Drew Brees won his conference. Mahomes won his conference during the regular season, that is, which is over a bigger bulk of time. And if you're able to do that and be the starting quarterback on a team that wins, you're going to get MVP notifications. Matt Ryan had MVP all over him. So Cam Newton, MVP with the best record. So who will be the best record in the NFC? Could Eli Manning have the best record in the NFC? Could he win an MVP award? Now, it will be tough with the Giants because Saquon is going to be the better player. Can Kyler Murray get to 11 wins, and can he just light the league up with records and stats? I think it's going to be tough for him to win the MVP, but I think Kyler Murray... If I had to view Kyler and Sam Darnold, I'd pick Kyler Murray a million times out of a million times over Sam Darnold. And it sounds like I'm hating on Darnold, but pretty much everybody is in love with Sam Darnold. And I'm just pushing back against what everybody is thinking. I could go at Paxton Lynch and break down all of Paxton Lynch's mechanical failures and his personality and him not working in the Broncos, right? I could do that till the cows come home, but that doesn't make a compelling segment because Sam Darnold is viewed very, very highly. So, we're gonna see about Darnold if he will be successful or not. If he is successful, I'm gonna give props. I'm gonna say I was wrong. The areas in which I was wrong in, I will say that I was dead wrong on the LA Rams. I was wrong on the Cowboys and Dak Prescott being the best team in the NFC, and I was wrong about last season for the Giants. I thought they would do better. 2017, I was really wrong about the New York Giants. I was right about Jacksonville. Jimmy G got hurt, so that kind of argument is the fact that they are really undervalued going into the season is absolutely ludicrous. It's ludicrous to me how undervalued San Francisco is as a freaking football team. It's lunacy. That the Seattle Seahawks are favored over the 49ers is absolute lunacy. Just because Russell Wilson had very good years in the NFL, and you could argue that Wilson is better than Garoppolo, but Garoppolo has never played a full season healthy before, and he's going to do that. He also has the best coach in the NFL. He also makes much better decisions than Wilson. Wilson has to improvise all the time, and his offensive line takes a bad rep because Russell Wilson causes a lot of problems on himself. Also, Russell Wilson has no offensive coaches around him. His best wide receiver retired. He has no tight end prospects to speak of. He has one receiver in DK Metcalf. He has the oldest coach in the whole league and a team that is losing all of their talent and a team where players just openly retire. I don't understand how people could think that the Seattle Seahawks are better than the 49ers. They just look at the 49ers and see Garoppolo and think he's another Brock Osweiler because he's only played 5 games. But if you watched Garoppolo, there's a reason that Bill Belichick believed in him. There's a reason that Bill Belichick wept after he traded him. That's because Jimmy G's going to be that good. But looking at Sam Darnold, he's doing well. If you're a Robbie Anderson fantasy owner, you should be very, very excited. The intensity, the practice is very good. Now, this is the honeymoon stage of Sam Darnold and of practice. Eli Manning was the greatest, quarterback with Ben McAdoo in OTA periods. But OTA doesn't really mean anything. Preseason means something for backups like Davis Webb, and I'll get to Webb, of course, in a second. But looking at the OTA period, it really doesn't mean too much. Now, guys, skipping OTAs, that's stupid. That's going to cause a lot of turmoil for no reason at all. And I apologize for my cold, but you look at the guys like an Odell Beckham who skips an OTA or a Le'Veon Bell, that's not exactly the best representation of yourself to a new off-season program. I always think you should attend OTAs. I like how Tom Coughlin makes it mandatory OTAs. I like that. So, Darnold's doing well. Eli's struggling. Spencer Pulley is leading John Jalapeno in the center job. That's another storyline out of OTAs. Another storyline is Reuben Foster getting hurt for the entire season. He's going to be out. He's just never gotten his footing in the NFL. And then you look at Nick Foles missing OTAs for personal reasons. Who knows what those are? It's none of our business to speculate, but Nick should be back for the start of the season. So right now we're just dotting our I's and our T's, or whatever that line really is. And that's how we're kind of going about the NFL right now. It's always fun to speculate. I can't wait to see how Derek Carr does with Antonio Brown. I thought Carr was terrible last year, but he didn't really have a lot of support. And again, he is not throwing the ball deep. He was not aggressive last year. And the defense does have to get him the football back. And they do have to stop the run better with Colleen Farrell, if Andy Vander goes. But I think Oakland Raiders, if they get Hard Knocks, that'll be the most entertaining team. I mean, when you listen to Carr mic'd up, he's a great, great leader. But I've heard a lot of talking from Derek, and it's time to see this team in action. It's time to see if Chucky can win. When you look at the entire AFC West, it's wide open. With Tyreek Hill out, the Chargers are a very safe and a great franchise. I think that they're not a great franchise, but they are a very good team. They're kind of like the Toronto Raptors, ironically, for my man Chris Senior. They're honestly like Toronto in the sense that they never can win a championship. They never are winning championships, but they are always right around, the playoffs, and they have a great, great roster. But then you look at the Denver Broncos, and if Joe Flacco hits, they're probably going to win that division. If you look at Carr and Antonio Brown in that defense, I doubt that they'll win that division, but they could be a wild card. Kansas City could miss the playoffs. The AFC West, I think that's the best division in all football with the Chargers, the Chiefs. You have great quarterbacks in that division. You look at Flacco, Rivers, and Mahomes. I think Flacco will outperform Rivers this year. I think Flacco is going to have a rebirth. I think he's going to be absolutely exceptional this year. I think Josie Jewell is going to have a monster year for Denver. I can't wait for the Denver Broncos. And then Drew Lock's a very good quarterback waiting in the wings. So Denver is going to be a team that I might put down as winning the entire AFC West. And if they win the West, they might just win the entire. So again, Joe Flacco could be an MVP guy, that nobody is talking about. Joe Flacco could be an MVP guy, Kyler Murray. But, when you look at Davis Webb, Webb is buried in the Kyle Slaughter kind of third depth chart quarterback. And that's not good. When you look at Webb, he's kind of leaning towards the third string quarterback spot. And that's purgatory, because purgatory is not heaven. It isn't hell, but nobody cares about you. And what Webb has to do in the preseason last year with Webb, he's trying to stay afloat in the Pat Shurmur offense. He fought. He's the backup to Eli Manning. He's the backup to one of the most accomplished veteran quarterbacks in the NFL. what better place to be in? He's in the Daniel Jones seat of last year. He played adequately. He had Lauletta, he had Alex Tanney, a new coach. Eli Manning was playing long into the games. The defense in the preseason wasn't that spectacular. A lot of new receivers. He was playing with second stringers. He had a terrible first game against Cleveland. He did. He did not show great elusiveness. He was not that decisive. The Detroit game, he did all right. He finally started to move the ball down the field, but his deep ball hung up a little bit. He did look slow in the pocket, so he needs to get faster, more athletic. He needs to put on weight, and he needs to start attacking deep ball, back shoulder throws. I need to see that from Webb. I need to see him let it go a little bit more, be a little less mechanical and rigid at the top of the release, and be able to arc back and really see him rip the ball. He needs to be much more decisive.
What's going on, guys? This is Spencer Grossinger, and I can assure you right now, I can prove to all of you right now that I am in fact live. I hope that the microphone now sounds a little bit better. I got my good buddies Brandon Rogers that have come and that are enjoying the show. My friend Drunk Drywaller, one of the best names in all of YouTube. Spotlight Sports stopped by. UCF Jaguar stopped by. And I think it's appropriate that before we begin this Q&A session that I want to give my thoughts to Nick Foles and my prayers to Nick. And I know that I'm not too important in the hierarchy of life. And but he's going through a tough time with his wife, and he had a miscarriage, and it's very, very sad. And I think we should start our show by giving a prayer to Nick. And Nick Foles is a great, great guy, and even though I don't root for his football team, he carries himself with absolute class. And I know that him and his wife, hopefully, they will have another attempt at having a child, and they luckily do have one healthy child. So and with that, I want to welcome everybody in. I'm going to start looking at some of the comments. Hopefully this sounds better. And if I'm live, say Davis Webb is the greatest quarterback of all time. Davis Webb is one of the best unknown quarterbacks in the NFL, and if he started, he would be a massive success. He would be a really good starting level caliber quarterback in the NFL. That's what Davis Webb would be, and I truly believe that full-heartedly. Great question by Raphael. Will Patrick Mahomes regress? And the answer to that question is 1,000,000% yes. Pat Mahomes took the league by storm last year. I told you Mahomes would be the truth, that he would be the MVP, that he would be magical. There is no way that they can put up 50 touchdowns again. Not with defenses now locking on to Mahomes. Remember this time last year, everybody thought that the Chiefs were premature in getting rid of Alex Smith. All you heard about was why Mahomes threw all the interceptions. That's all you heard about, is why Mahomes was throwing all of those picks last year. That's what you heard about King Patrick Mack. That you just heard about the interceptions and about how the Chiefs, shouldn't have got rid of Alex Smith. But this year, he has to go out there, and the Raiders are better. The Broncos are a better defense. I really do believe that. The Chargers secondary is massively better. They got the guy Nasir Adderley, another year of Derwin James. So I think Mahomes will regress, yes, but it's impossible for him to sustain. Now, no Tyreek Hill is a huge part. No Kareem Hunt is a huge part. And they are the hunted, not the hunter. Brandon, you commented on Joe Flacco, and you said that Flacco could be pretty good. I think Flacco is going to be good as well. I think Joe Flacco's 34 years old, 35. He's one of the most intriguing quarterbacks in the NFL because nobody really talks about Joe Flacco. And I think that Joe Flacco is going to be really successful. I think the Broncos can win this AFC West. I do with Emmanuel Sanders, Cortland Sutton, Jake Butt as the receiver. Finally, a Noah Fant that's really going to help Flacco. Imagine those routes where it's play action. Flacco rolls to his right, and then Noah Fant is just on the backside waiting with like 30 yards of daylight in front of him. I look at the Seattle Seahawks, Brandon, and I think that the Seattle Seahawks really are in Schitt's Creek. The Seattle Seahawks are massively in Schitt's Creek because Russell Wilson isn't that good. He's a little bit overrated. He's a clutch quarterback in the playoffs. But the thing is about Russie Wilson is that he improvises too much, and he's a very, very good quarterback, but he's not incredible, and his organization sucks around him. Cam Chancellor retired, Richard Sherman and Michael Bennett left, and they hated that place at the end. There's no running backs really in Seattle to speak of. The wide receiver group, I mean, who do you freaking have? You have Tyler Lockett, who's nothing special, and then you have DK Metcalf, who is special. That's the only exciting part of their team is DK Metcalf. Then defensively, I don't really know what good defensive players they even have left. I mean, I'm going to go even pull up their roster because the Seahawks are just a shitty team, man. Diehard Giants fan, thank you so much for the donation, man. You didn't have to, but I do appreciate that. I didn't really lose weight at all. I'm still gaining a shit ton of weight. I happened to eat today 2 cheeseburgers, mashed potatoes, and spinach. Like, mashed potatoes with the 2 cheeseburgers, absolutely remarkably incredible. I also think the vanilla wafers are pretty damn tasty as well. But if you get 2 microwavable cheeseburgers, because the thing is, in the Northeast, there was a gosh dang monsoon outside today. It was hard even getting anywhere. But just getting over a cold, so drinking a shit ton of tea, and really eating cheeseburgers, you know. And over the break, I'm sure on Memorial Day, everybody had their cookouts. Everybody was eating a shit ton of food. So I need to just get a salad that I actually like maybe a Caesar salad, and then I'll be good to go. But that's kind of getting off topic. But if you're going to be a guy sitting behind a microphone for a long time, you better freaking get off topic. For any kid who wants to be a great broadcaster, I'm not saying I'm a great broadcaster, but you have to be able to BS during the summer. That's the biggest key. Memorial Day. You're still wasted. You can't even spell that name correctly, Mr. Ronaldo Allen. Brittany. Oh, man. Maybe even yeah, Brittany, how you doing? What was your reaction to Daniel Jones? Really good question, Brittany. So what I was going to say is if you eat the spinach first, you might not have room for the burgers. But, Brittany, I at first was nervous about Daniel Jones because his college tape, it didn't look like he had the biggest arm in the world, and he looked a little funky with his mechanics. But the more you hear this guy speak, you find out the reasons that you like him and that his leadership is fantastic. He's very bright. He's a wonderful teammate. And this kid's also athletic. He can run around a little bit, and he's a tremendous, tremendous leader. And his arm strength is just going to get better and better. His arm strength's already pretty adequate. His best throw, he can hit those inside slant routes to death. Over the middle of the field, the kid is deadly, and the kid should protect the football and not make too many mistakes. We have a run-based offensive scheme, and Daniel Jones and Eli are going to function in perfect harmony together. And I am totally behind what Gettleman is doing here, Brittany. Very good question. Sam Darnold is all Gucci. Sam Darnold's having a great mini camp. I, again, said Sam would be just very average to not very good, a bust at the number 3 pick. So maybe I'll be wrong because maybe Adam Gase will create some exciting plays. I mean, Robbie Anderson's having an amazing camp. And Sam Darnold, like, he's got to take care of the football, be very decisive. And as long as he can march the team up and down the field without turning it over too much, I don't think he's going to be dropping bombs like a Josh Allen or a Baker Mayfield. He doesn't have the talent to go out there like a Josh Allen. I'll take on Josh Allen 100 times over Sam Darnold. But will Sam Darnold be able to navigate the field and progress? I don't see it, but it sure seems as if he's killing it in mini camps, and that shouldn't be a bad sign. I see next year, after the Giants have a great year this year, that Danny Jones can take over. I want Eli to win a championship this year. I think that Eli Manning and the Giants could potentially get to 11 or 12 wins with this type of secondary that they have. So I do believe that. You could timestamp that ridiculous comment there that you guys define as ridiculous. So what was that 2016 Dallas team where that team was amazing, but then that team lost to the Packers because they had no defensive secondary. I mean, they don't have Ezekiel Elliott, Brandon, but Tevin Coleman could have a breakout year for the 49ers. All Gucci. Let's go quarterbacks that will have monster seasons. I'm going to take, of course, I said Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Kyler Murray, Raphael, Kyler Murray, Jimmy G, Joe Flacco. So I'm not just going to pick the big guys that are going to have good years. I think that Trubisky, Kirk Cousins maybe could have really, really good seasons. I don't think Mariota's going to return and come back. Josh Allen will do okay, but he still doesn't have the weapons. But Kyler's going to be a freaking monster. Joe Flacco is going to be an MVP type of quarterback. He's going to be terrific quarterback in Scangarello's offense. Could Eli Manning protect the ball? If Eli Manning wins 12 games, he might be the MVP. You know, all Eli has to do to be the MVP of the NFL is win 12 games. Can Eli do that? Can he still do that? Because Matt Ryan won the MVP, and it's not like Matt Ryan has the most physically gifted talents, you know? And you look at Saquon Barkley, he's going to be helping out Eli a ton. So could the Giants get to 12 wins, and could Eli Manning throw less than 10 interceptions and have like 28 touchdowns and be really efficient? Then Eli Manning would come 7th in MVP voting. It's just that easy. But Garoppolo, of course, Dak Prescott is a dark horse candidate there. I look at the Broncos. Andrew Luck. Could Andrew Luck put it together? I still don't know. I still don't know about how healthy Luck is. I think he's slightly overrated. Terrible performance versus the Chiefs last year in the playoffs, but he was terrific at the end of the regular season. He was absolutely incredible in Houston. He decapitated Deshaun Watson. I'll tell you this, Bill O'Brien will be getting fired from the Houston Texans. The Texans will suck. The Ron Rivera and the Panthers, Ron Rivera will get totally slapped around and fired immediately. The Panthers will suck. The Ravens will suck this year, and John Harbaugh will get fired. The Jets will not be that good. The Browns will not be that good, but in terms of coaches getting fired, I see Bill O'Brien getting fired. I see possibly the coach up in Minnesota getting fired. I see Pete Carroll possibly getting fired, but maybe the coach in Minnesota, Mike Zimmer, getting fired as well. So those are all fireable guys. Brandon, I'm feeling a little bit of a Kirk Cousins revival because now you have, what's his name, Irv Smith to the fold. Now you have Irv Smith to the fold, and Irv Smith is a monster tight end, and if they could get this Rudolph situation figured out, it could be really, really good. D. Willis, what's going on, my friend? I'm definitely not going to say it's shored up. I mean, you're relying on Will Hernandez to have an incredibly resurgent sophomore campaign. You're relying on Spencer Pulley to grab the center position and completely just take that thing over. And then you're relying on Mike Remmers, who Mike Remmers is a journeyman who's very, very old and very injury prone, to step into your right tackle position and be very good as a right tackle. I mean, look at the Eagles. They have Lane Johnson on the right side of the line with Jason Peters. Look at the Cowboys. You know, they have Lyle Collins and Tyron Smith. You got to have good tackles. You know, look at what the Falcons did. They drafted a tackle with Caleb McGarry, even though they have Jake Matthews as their left tackle. In this league, with two elite pass rushers, you need to have solid right tackle play. Look at the Oakland Raiders. They're starting Colton Miller at left tackle. They're paying this guy, Trent Brown from the Patriots. They're paying him $16 million a year or $17 million a year just to be a right tackle. So it's definitely not shirt up. We definitely need to see what the heck's going to happen. Anthony, how are you, brother? It is great seeing you, Anthony. I'm even going to write your name down here. Exclamation marks. Anthony, my good old buddy Anthony. I loved how you stood up for me, man, or how you backed me on the Daniel Jones, that whole process. I want to thank you because you were in my corner on that one, and that means a lot. You're also a friend of Brandon Cop Pizzle, and Cop is one of the best guys on YouTube. If I sound like Chris Collinsworth, that's a pretty cool thing, because the thing is about CC, and I do have a cold right now, but the thing is about Chris Collinsworth is that Collinsworth kind of sounds like a country guy. He kind of sounds a little hickish. And the thing about Chris is he sounds like that goofy wrestler guy, that goofy wrestler announcer. So if I sound like Collinsworth, that's absolutely fine. I like Collinsworth. You believe that Nagy's going to be fired? Hell no. Hell no. He was the best coach in the NFL last year. Even if the Bears go 7-9, no way. He's one of the best young coaches in the NFL. No way. I love Matt Nagy, and I think that the Bears probably win that division again. D. Vieira, you're totally right, because you talk about how Andrew Luck has a lot of weapons. He has Paris Campbell. Paris Campbell, by the way, if you're doing fantasy football, Paris Campbell is going to be absolutely incredible this year as a slot receiver. So you have Paris Campbell, and then you get this kid out of Georgia State, Penny Hart, who's an undrafted kid out of Georgia State that I watched at the Senior Bowl, and this kid absolutely can break down defenses. You then add in a very sneaky signing. You know how we talk about in the NBA how Brook Lopez, was misused on the Los Angeles Lakers? Well, a guy that was misused is a guy by the name of Devin Funchess. This dude is a physical specimen, and Andrew Luck, just like Eric Ebron, he's going to get Funchess big-time touches. So Devin Funchess, if you get him late round in fantasy football, Devin Funchess is in a great system with Frank Reich and Andrew Luck to have a monster year. Shady McCoy is absolutely done. The running back over there is going to be a guy by the name of Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary has a little bit of Matt Forte in his game, a little bit of Fred Jackson. He's not the smallest guy. He's not the fastest guy. He's a physical, tough runner with the ability to catch out of the backfield. He's exactly what Matt Forte is, and he's a rock-solid running back, so out of Florida Atlantic. So, Anthony, I agree as well. Let's just look at the damn schedule. I know Entertainer made a great video about the schedule, and I'll give you a schedule right now. So, sorry, I just got the tail end of a cold, and then I'm going to bounce on out of here. But basically, what I wanted to say about Davis Webb before I go is what Davis Webb has to do in the preseason is he has to take opportunities, because or else he's just going to get forgotten, just like Bryce Petty, just like Kyle Slaughter, just like all these average quarterbacks. Davis Webb needs to take opportunities. He needs to throw the football down the field a lot. That's what Davis Webb has to do this year for him to be successful, because he needs to take chances in these games. Even if he succeeds against the third stringers, it doesn't really matter. He just has to make He has to make wow throws. Even if he gets intercepted, it doesn't matter. He has to make throws that turns eyes and heads of general managers around the league. Even if he just operates in the third team and does well, he's not going to gain respect. He's going to gain respect by hitting like 50-yard bombs. So that's what he's going to have to do for all you Davis Webb fans out there like myself. All right, so the Giants-Cowboys game, that's a winnable game. I don't see the Cowboys getting away from the Giants. I have the Cowboys having a very good year. Of course, you talk about Leighton Vander Esch, Jalen Smith, the guy in the middle, Hill from Central Florida, DeMarcus Lawrence on that edge, the Nebraska kids like Malik Collins and all those dudes. And then you have Byron Jones, Awuzie, incredible players in the secondary with Xavier Woods and Jeff Heath. That defense under Rod Marinelli and, of course, the great Chris Richard. The Cowboys' defense is unbelievable. But the Giants, I think, are going to hang in that game. I'd love to steal that game. It's very possible. Get Saquon Barkley running the football very well. Protect Eli Manning. Put up like maybe 20 points and see if your defense can stop Dak and win a game. The Bills game with Josh Allen is a great test for our young secondary. The weather's going to be nice, so Josh Allen's going to be throwing the ball all over the field. We're going to have to knuckle down and play really good defense, but the game's at home. It's a good home crowd. We're going to show pretty well there, and if we're going to make the playoffs, we need to win the game 2, which is Buffalo. Then game 3 at Tampa Bay, very tough place to play football games. I just have that terrible feeling about like those fall 4 o'clock games, and I'm sure Anthony can back me up on this. I remember games when the Giants go on the road early in the season at 4 o'clock. I remember like the Vince Young game happening. I remember a lot of bad games like that happening. So I'm just reading off the schedule here, guys. Then the Giants get the Redskins and the Vikings. They need to win both of those games, and they just need to start off the season well. If the Giants get to about 6-2, then the Eli Manning hatred, that train will take a little bit of a stoppage. All right, I'll answer some more questions here. I mean, possibly Brandon, but who's going to take ahead of that division? I think Trubisky is going to be good. I think Trubisky is the answer. That's where I differ from you. I think he's a very confident guy. I think he is the answer. Yes, Casey, are you going to that? You're a Bills Mafia guy. Are you just staying in New York for those 2 days, or are you going back home, man? Because maybe I'll have to go to that 1 o'clock Bills game, even though I'm going to miss the rest of the NFL. I like to try to go to the primetime games more. Casey, because then I don't miss the whole rest of the league. The Vikings winning that division. It's possible, but I still see Trubisky being pretty damn good. A Bears relapse, that's a very hot take. I see the Bears like 11-5. That division's going to beat each other up. I don't think the Bears are going to the chip. I don't think that at all. But 6-10, that's too low for my liking. Is Gase good for Darnold? I think Gase is just not that great of a head coach. So far, it's looking like the marriage is good, but we're still in the honeymoon stage. And then do the Jets have the staff to develop him properly? I don't. I don't think that Christopher Johnson is all that good. I've never been a fan of that, of Dowell Loggins, so we'll see, but I'm not too confident. I love Jimmy G. Because Jimmy G has such a quick release. He played great under Kyle Shanahan. He has great weapons. The defense is very much improved. Richard Sherman's going to help Jimmy G in that environment. Mike LaFleur's going to help out a ton. You look at Dante Pettis. You look at all those other guys. that he has to throw the ball to. You now have a better running game than you usually had. You now have Tevin, Jarek, and Breda as your running back. So I think it's going to be awesome for Garoppolo. And Jimmy G just has a really quick release. And again, he's very special. When the game is on the line, Jimmy G leads game-winning drives, and he led game-winning drives when he was in there. He is very mechanically sound quarterback. He's been trained by Tom Brady and really good Patriots coaches. So I think Jimmy Garoppolo has this calmness about him. He's just a special, special quarterback that's going to win Super Bowls at this level. He's going to be terrific. Him and Tua Tagovailoa are going to take over this league, and then Mahomes is going to be maybe the one guy back, like a Drew Lock, and Drew Lock will maybe be like an Aaron Rodgers, and Mahomes will be like a Brett Favre. And those will be the top four guys in the league. Garoppolo, Tagovailoa, Jimmy G, and Drew Lock, maybe. So that's why I love Jimmy Garoppolo, Mark. Any undrafted free agents you're looking at? I said Penny Hart already. I think that the kid from West Virginia, his name is David Sills for the Bills, has a possibility of surprising people. Anthony Johnson, who went to Buffalo, has a possibility of surprising people. There are some decent players that were unsigned players, but Divine Ozigbo from Oklahoma, I think that's a damn good pull there that you have. I think that Shermer would get fired. Daniel Jones, even if he shows development, though, under Shermer, so it'd be very hard for him, Big Blue for Life, to get fired. You know what I mean? If the Giants suck next year for the first 8 games, then Daniel Jones is going to come in, and then if Jones plays well, you could just blame all your problems on Eli Manning, and everybody will stay. You know what I mean? So that's very, very rare that happens. Now, if Jones sucks, of course, if everybody sucks and Daniel Jones sucks completely and doesn't like Shermer, then Shermer will get fired. I don't want to see Gettleman go because I like Gettleman bringing in Hernandez, Saquon Barkley, Buffea, Jabril Peppers. The DeAndre Baker pick's been my favorite pick so far of the offseason. Dexter Lawrence. I think this team is going to be a really good football team. So I've loved what Dave Gettleman has done. I think he's saved the Giants. And to have the balls to move off of Odell Beckham, that's a move that really nobody in the NFL would make other than Dave Gettleman. Dave Gettleman is special for making that kind of move, and I expect the Giants to be in playoff contention next year for sure. For sure. I expect us to scrap and claw and win some games early in the season. Every game should be really competitive or really close with James Betcher. This defense should be damn good next year. I don't think it's a mistake because the market's going to go higher. Oh man, he's from Nebraska with Scott Frost, yeah, and he kind of got a late start there at Nebraska. D. Willis, yeah, I can tell you're a Husker guy. I think Martinez will be good. I'm trying to think of whatever Huskers running backs I can think of, but Pearsonell's a good player. Stanley Morgan, like those wide receivers, especially Pearsonell is really dangerous. And that Colorado receiver, Vanoit, was just incredible last year in that rivalry game that you guys should have won that game. Honestly, had a big lead. But anyhow, about Dak Prescott and the $30 million. I think that's fair. If you give him 32, that's too much money. But if you give him 30 million, that's like 6 million less than Russell Wilson. And Carson Wentz is going to make like 30. Carson Wentz will probably make 35, $37 million. So Dak Prescott, if Dak can be humble with this contract and not be a big ego about it and take like a $28 million deal like Kirk Cousins has with this market, the Cowboys are going to be set up for pretty much contention all the time. If I was Dak Prescott, you could either make, 10 more million a year, and you could not be very good. You could be like a Matthew Stafford and have your legacy completely ruined, or you could still make $28 million, $28 million, and you could be in playoff contention every single year. I know money, to some people means more, obviously, but if you're Dak Prescott and you take $28 million, you then can keep Zeke, you could keep Amari Cooper and all these guys. I'm sure Cooper is actually getting his deal fixed. I think that deal might have already been done. I'm not sure. Big Blue for life. You like Justin Herbert that much? I just think he's okay. I think he's going to be a good quarterback in this league, like a Trubisky, a very good quarterback, a good quarterback. But I think Daniel Jones is fine. I think Daniel Jones is going to be perfect, actually. I don't think Rosen's a steal for the Dolphins at all. If I were the Dolphins, I would have looked to tank for Tua. I didn't like their coaching hire, who's a defensive coach. I would have liked a Shane Waldron. I would have liked, I do like the defensive coach Chris Richard. I do like that guy a lot. But for Miami, if I was picking a perfect head coach, I would look for Kevin O'Connell from the Redskins, who's a very good offensive coordinator. He's a smart guy. He's going to be a good coach. Kevin O'Connell or Scangarella is a good coach as well. Imagine Tua Tagovailoa with a Scangarella offense. So O'Connell or Scangarella, and I would just tank for Tua. And even if Rosen's not that good, you just simply move on from Rosen and get Tua. It's no debate. It's no debate that Tua's a better quarterback than Rosen. You did give up Andy Isabella. That would have been a perfect player to build on. So I think the Cardinals just absolutely rocked that trade with Josh Rosen. I do. Oh, then you must love him. Ortega-Whiteside, a lot of people are thrilled with. I would have went with DK Metcalf. Miles Sanders, I like the kid from FAU better. I didn't love the Eagles draft. I mean, Andre Dillard is a very good pick. Dallas Goedert's probably going to have a breakout year. It's all about Carson Wentz and Alshon Jeffrey. Can you throw the ball deep to Alshon Jeffrey? Are you going to make those plays deep down the field to Alshon Jeffrey? Is that going to happen this year? Guys, I want to thank you. It's getting a little bit late here. I had a great time doing this little Q&A at the end of this video. Y'all are awesome. Y'all have a great night. Just got a little bit of a cold, so hopefully next time it gets a little bit better on the show. And just thanks a lot, guys, for hanging in and doing this thing. It was a lot of fun. And take care, guys. God bless. Have a great night. All right, I'll see y'all.